All right. Hello. Welcome everyone back to a happy hour brunch show.
Wow.
Great to be back. Cheers to everybody. Cheers to Maddie. Proof of beard only.
Well, the
Elmeyer,
coffee
welcome.
Brunch.
And yes, brunch and DJ Cryptomatic. How y'all doing?
Doing
Awesome.
great. Green candles today.
Yeah, really? Where? Missed you guys.
Little.
I'm happy for anything these days.
Yeah. So I've been away. I don't know for like I guess a couple weeks. I've been on a boat and I don't know. I've had like limited access, and so every now and then I would like check in, and I was just like, wow, I picked pretty much the perfect time to get out of town.
No boating accidents, hopefully.
No boating accidents.
Lose your
Perhaps
keys?
just with like perhaps with some wallets, but not myself. No, so.
But when you
But-
say on a boat, was that like a fishing trip or more like a cruise sort of a
It was
situation?
definitely a cruise /
okay.
leisure trip. Although I
Nice.
do enjoy myself a fishing excursion as well. Shout out Freddie Quotes and the other fishermen out there. Hexter Morgan, I think they had a successful trip, I think last week
Okay.
Hey.
down here. So some really cool pictures out of that on Twitter. I did see some of the things that I did see. What's up, chat? Just wanted to say hello, everybody, before we get into some fun topics here. Dorsey, Meltoni, CP. Good to see you again, Meltoni. Saw you over in the What the Hex chat as well. PulseX, what's up? Crypto Games, Footsteps, what's going on? Crypto Cause. So, yeah, a few things to talk about. I mean, I guess, Maddie, you have a couple of the most timely things. I guess we can start out with, and we can get into some of the other more crypto newsworthy items as well. But you had this little thing, I guess, launch recently. Could you tell us about it and how it's gone so far? The feedback that you've gotten. Where we stand with Time Pays Me.
I was gonna say there's been two things that launched recently, and maybe if it's okay, the first one I'll talk about is the second annual Pulse Conference that I'm going to be hosting again this year. Now you might ask yourself, well, wait a second, PulseChain hasn't been out for 2 years now, has it? We are actually just a couple days away from the second anniversary of when the PulseChain sacrifice started. And so if you guys remember last year in the middle of July, I did a 1 year kind of anniversary stream. And we had Richard on there. We had 69 different YouTube channels. And it was really great to like get the full breadth of the PulseChain community at that time pre-launch. And then I didn't have anything to do with the PulseCon thing that happened in Las Vegas. That was didn't exactly go to plan, let's say. But of course I have the claim to having the largest Hex meetup of all time when we all went to Las Vegas for the Hex conference there. And so I'm trying to replicate this success here. And really the big idea is people love being a part of this community. And so whether they're coming in person or whether they're participating online, we have a worldwide group of people that are all very enthusiastic about the same things. And so this year it's going to be in Austin, Texas, which I'm super thrilled about because that was the most enthusiastic place out of 40 different cities that the Crypto Sparbock group went to. Okay. And what I'm doing this time is going to be on August 4th and 5th. So that's coming up in just under a month. And you can get your ticket now before they sell out. We've got 200 tickets only available for the conference center room there that I've got in downtown Austin. And so you can get those tickets at plsaustin.com. And then because Miami was such a success at the Bitcoin conference, I'm going to be doing a 48-hour live stream co-hosted by Tangent. And so I hope that I'll be able to get the invitations out today, and maybe we can get more than 69 YouTube channels participating. Anybody who spoke at the Hex conference or the Pulse conference before is invited.
Well, outstanding. Looking forward to it. I know probably Mr. DJ, have you ever been to one of the music capitals of the United States, Austin,
Oh
Texas?
man, I would so love to go. I cannot for work, unfortunately. Also, I'm very glad to hear that you're doing like an in-person experience too. I initially thought it was just online, but so I guess mostly for the American viewers or part of the Hex community, make you travel your way down to Austin. But we will all try our best to contribute with the online stream, of course. Yeah.
Thank
Are you
you.
going to have like a online like set, I guess, or like a desk or like a new style kind of thing where you're going to bring in guests, or how's that going to work, Matty?
Oh yeah, just like previous times, we'll have 100 people speaking, and that's what I mean by having so many channels participating. And then the format will be what has seemed to work in the past, which is a combination between solo speeches, 2 to 4 people on screen at a time, and then maybe even bigger groups of people depending on the level of participation and all that good kind of stuff. But I think that the viewership, it just keeps growing bigger and bigger every time. And so it seems like these events in particular, especially when Richard isn't streaming consistently. I mean, the last time Richard streamed was at my Hex conference, right? And I shouldn't even call it my Hex conference because literally it wouldn't happen if we didn't have so many people participating from the community. So, and you guys notice I don't take sponsorships. I don't sell out. You can't pay me a certain amount of money to get like, your shitcoin posted, in the corner of the screen. Like when you see the biggest, when you see Bitcoin conferences, when you see major Ethereum channels, when you see any of this stuff, when Vitalik goes to speak, when I don't know who the equivalent, when Michael Saylor goes to speak, the screen is bought and paid for. In this case, it's not.
And it's amazing that you've been doing that for so long in the community. So I wanted to thank you for that because I never got the chance to do it. So it's been amazing to watch. Yeah.
Now, talking about, I guess, other projects or things that have yet to launch on Pulse, or a lot have already. I'm guessing since this is a PLS conference, those founders and or I guess people of those other projects will be welcome to speak in this, and as perhaps on behalf of theirs, or how will that work? Or are we going to welcome in, be like, hey, you guys from Liquid Loans, like you guys to talk, and you guys from Power City, and you guys from Famous? How is there going to be like allotted time, or will those just topics and projects be covered gradually over the 48 hours?
Let's put it this way. In the past, you've seen me use my best judgment. And my best judgment, it's like, it's not always perfect, right? And for the Hex conference that just happened in January, you saw, I didn't think to invite somebody, and Twitter threw a fit, and then that person suddenly got invited and ended up speaking. And then at the next Hex meetup that I did in Miami, that person spoke even longer. So
the market speaks to Matty. So, okay. Well, good. So, I mean, especially, I guess, with PulseChain not being, I guess, as product centered as a coin such as Hex, to where yes, you have, I guess, derivative plays off of that. PulseChain is an entire ecosystem. And I think that's just another level of, I guess, welcoming that needs to be displayed no matter what people say. And I guess we can get into this topic right now, as, catching up on a lot of things. And of course, Richard has, I guess, backed away from shilling things on PulseChain. So I guess, just go around the room. What are everybody's takes on it? Because I certainly have my take. I know Matty has his. Beard, what say you about the founder of a blockchain backing away from shilling things on said blockchain?
Yeah, it's fine.
Thank you, Beard. On to DJ
I mean, he can do whatever. He can do whatever he
well
wants.
said.
Man. People are building anyways, and I would, yeah. I mean, either way, you have advantages and disadvantages, and I actually think I like this better to not talk about that trash because they're gonna come anyways. Most of because there's free money, dude, and I think, yeah, no, I don't think it matters. No,
Mr.
I don't
DJ.
think it matters at all.
I mean, I tried to make this point on the show just earlier with how many transactions are already happening on PulseChain now,
Yeah, that's a
which
good
I think is really very positive, very encouraging, no matter the price. But there is stuff happening on it, and Richard's shilling, if you will, I think played a big part of it to get the word out. And it came to me sort of over the last weekend when I was kind of dwelling over all of this stuff, what's happening, because I'm very closely monitoring always on what's going on Twitter with the community. And I think it's now, whereas the initial thought of creating PulseChain was just to make Hex work better, I think he's almost like really gunning for Ethereum's lunch now. And for that to happen, we must have all these people transacting on PulseChain. Of course, it's a very fine line, as you said, with the, when Richard would unfollow everybody before that shilled another token, even if it was a PulseChain token, to now shilling Pepe. If you just look at that at face value, of course, that is contradicting. But I think we should know him better by now and know what he means or what his intention is. When he does that, it's not getting us to buy Pepe coin, so it's getting the adoption on PulseChain.
Yeah, and I don't think he's necessarily, like, at least I don't view it as him shilling these other coins and what they are themselves. It's just bringing that energy over to
trade them,
PulseChain, and it's very different ways of thinking. And I think just people see the name of a coin and they just like break out in hives or something, or throw a temper tantrum, where it's bringing the actual economic energy over to the chain rather than chilling.
It does create more emotions when in that sense. It's very effective because either people are very mad about it or they're very happy about it.
Elmire, your thoughts?
Works.
Yeah, if you think about it, when Richard mentioned Pepe, we all knew what Pepe is, right? And why did we all knew what Pepe was? Because he made the news. Everyone was shilling Pepe. It was showing on the coin ranking sites right away. It was shown on the usually all the news that Cointelegraph and etc. A coin that was launched as a meme like a few weeks ago was everywhere, right?
Yeah, on every exchange, it's everywhere. Yeah.
And what I felt Richard did was, okay, guys, all of you guys that know about Pepe, heard about Pepe, and speculated on Pepe, you can do the same here. It was not like the community go buy Pepe or gambling Pepe. It was to try to reach out to all the guys that knew about Pepe and play with it already, taking advantage of all the promotion that crypto already did in Pepe itself and all the journalists that promoted it by publicizing it on news websites and taking advantage of that for his own project. And to me, that's a smart thing to do. But people usually always read what they want to read when Richard says something. And because people read what they want, they try to perceive it as, okay, now we can all go gamble on Pepe because it's on PulseX. So Richard said it's okay. It's like, no, that's not it. And it's a fine line about talking about other projects. I liked very much what Mati did on the last on the anniversary. It was a 1 year anniversary stream of the sacrifice phase, because he kept it very into the topic, and not too many coins or other things being chilled. Because when I see streams like that, I feel everyone is pulling in their own direction. And for me, an outsider watching the stream, I have no idea what they're talking about. I see 10 different projects. I don't know anything about them. I just hear keywords here, keywords there, everyone trying to sell, to talk their own bags. And the actual important information is nowhere to be found. So I think it's better to keep it straight to the point and talk about this small subset of coins or crypto or things that we believe in. And yes, you can go, oh, but there's other things that you can check and know about here and there, but not make that the goal of the stream or the convention or everything else, because then we are diluting the information and no one is getting anything out of it.
Absolutely, yeah.
And Mati, I saved your take for last because I think you might have a few things to say about this subject. So enlighten us on your thinking about this whole PulseChain, Richard Hart's. I guess I hate the word drama, but there's some drama there and different ways of thinking. How do you approach this?
I like the idea of people arguing over which one's better, like altcoins or Pulse or RH tickers, because it keeps the even though it's like uncomfortable for all of us, it keeps the conversation centered on PulseChain, where you can get low fees and where you can trade even your Ethereum assets. If you like E-hex, you can buy it on PulseChain and you can save money. If you like P-hex, you can buy it on PulseChain and you can save money. If people weren't having these arguments about which one's better, or whether Richard should be changing his strategy or not, I don't know what we would be talking about. Or I think that people might get more distracted if people didn't have something to fight for. It was like when I joined, it was like CoinMarketCap is gatekeeping us, but not everybody else. I want to join this fight.
Yeah.
And I guess, I don't want to shill for you, but you may have a solution that could help the PulseChain process of, people holding on and not getting too triggered with, near-term events. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah.
A little bit?
Well, I've been working 11 months on a product that I wanted it to be perfect. And so that's how long it took. Now I've launched timepays.me, which is a way, I don't think you can time lock your tank tops yet, but it pretty much everything else. So you can time lock anything on PulseChain, anything on Ethereum. That's not an NFT. So like ERC or PRC20 tokens, you can time lock PulseChain and Ethereum coins. And the other value proposition is that you're able to undo a hack. You might say, that's a crazy statement, Mati. How's that even possible?
I remember when you first talked about it on this show, and to me, that was the most exciting value prop out of this whole thing. So yeah, elaborate.
So I think like when people are time locking their tokens, it's not until you do that you get the aha moment usually. And for people in Hex, they're going to get that idea much faster. Although a lot of us have been conditioned kind of with the choppiness of the market, with the price going up and down so much, we've been kind of trained to want to hold liquid some. But the idea is that time locking even a small portion of your coins, if the price ever does pump to crazy highs, then having that drip where you're able to withdraw the percent of time served every week becomes a really beautiful thing. It becomes something that becomes very, very rewarding later on. And so Time Pays Me allows people to be able to drip their tokens back to yourself. So you can pay your future self, and you can get this effect in crypto that we call the truth engine. The truth engine is where I know that I'm going to be in the hex community 14 years from now, 15 years from now, because I have time lock. I've proved it to myself that I'm still going to be holding that. In the same way, you can do this with PulseChain now, where just last night I sent 100 million Pulse to myself on next year's 4th of July. Now it's going to drip back to me over time because I didn't click the button to do a hard lock, but that's pretty cool. And then the undoing a hack part is like, it's also appeals to a different group of people, or maybe also the same group of people. But the idea here is when you claim your smart vault at timepays.me, you're creating your own smart contract. And that's the same way that Uniswap works. When you provide liquidity, you go to their smart contract factory and you issue yourself a smart contract. TimePaysMe has the same technology of a smart contract factory. And you go there and you issue yourself a smart contract. And so that's how it works with self-custody. And then you can go ahead and do all your time locks on there right away. But if you follow the instructions, you're going to see I have a link to buy a Trezor on the tutorial thread on Twitter. And that's the best thing you can have is a hardware wallet to assign as your second seed phrase. And your second seed phrase is what's going to save you when and if you get hacked. And I'm sorry, Papa B isn't here to scare the living shit out of everybody.
Would he be okay with that setup?
I think he likes people shilling hardware wallets, and I think he likes, but I'm not going to speak for him on anything else. I'll let him speak for himself. The idea here is that there's no resistance to getting in, and then there's going to be this big yellow banner at the top of the web page, and it's not going to go away, and it's going to keep reminding you that you need to set your second seed phrase. You need to set your recovery address. And it's such a beautiful thing when you go to testnet.timepays.me and you get on that PulseChain testnet v4, you get on the Go Early testnet, and you can actually recover your vault. You can take control of this entire vault that you hold custody of. If it gets hacked, you can go through the steps right there. And because I want to set a good example, not only do we have an audit that's available from sourcehat.com/audits/timepaysme, but also I'm doing a bug bounty program probably in the next couple of days where I'm going to time like $10,000 worth of Pulse, and I'm going to read off the seed words. And that way you can prove to yourself that, that this is something where I'll still be able to recover the money because I can undo a hack.
So by undoing the hack, that is actually what you mean by that, right? That let's say you create your time locks on a specific wallet with seed, and then as time goes on, this wallet might get compromised. And if you've created a second backup seed, you can then choose or make the contract do the payouts to that other wallet, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Only. Yes.
But it's still all trustless and no middleman and
correct. No middleman.
And all that.
Self-custody. All the stuff we love.
I'm shilling your thing.
What's the catch? The catch is there's a 0.1% fee. So that's 1 out of 1,000 units, which I don't think is bad. I think you get, I think you pay more to even do a swap or something these days. And then the other catch is maybe you lock the wrong thing. Maybe you're, getting high on your own supply of P-Pepe and you lock it 55 years into the future. And then the coin isn't around in 55 years. Well, you just got wrecked. But in terms of being able to save yourself from yourself, if the price goes up, being able to get a drip so you're rewarded consistently, being able to undo a hack, these are all ways that crypto is getting better.
It's like if you're doing X ladder, but with every coin.
Yeah, doing a regular lock with a drip, that is like having a continuous hex staking ladder, where it's also similar to like Keeptron, where the percent you can withdraw as the percent of time served. And then if you do a hard lock, see, this is the cool thing. If you're a hex user, I can hard lock Ethereum for every day in the future when my hex stakes come out, so that I don't have to write a blank check to the Ethereum blockchain. And so that's pretty cool.
When the drip happens, you have to claim the tokens? How is that? It's like a normal claim of the drip, basically.
Yeah, you press a button in the dApp.
Okay. Well, the first time I heard you describe the project, I liked it very much. And I even thought of another feature that maybe you can implement on the V2 of the smart contract, which would be for inheritance. So imagine you have 4 children and you maybe pass away. Instead of setting up in advance 1 wallet, you set in advance 4, and the funds are split evenly between all the 4 seeds. And it's like if it's a decentralized way of making your children receive your inheritance.
You can pretty much already do that in a way. You'd have to split it into 4 separate instances of Time Pays Me if you're doing it that way. But basically the way that Time Pays Me already works is there's something called a dead man switch, which I haven't talked about before that much. But basically what happens is, like, a year after your longest lock ends, then I think the recovery address is eligible to.
It's switched on automatically.
Nothing's automatic on the blockchain, but like,
automatically in a way that when you click the contract, it knows to send it to the backup one instead of the original one. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
And so you could set your inheritance as the recovery address and like just not give them the means to put it into recovery.
And they just need to wait the time until the period ends plus a year, and then they will be able to withdraw their inheritance.
Yes.
Yeah.
I guess speaking of inheritance and long locking, I did see shout out to Kincaid Honey, who locked some Pulse up for like 55 years. Did I see that right last night, Maddie?
That's right. Yeah, he's a longevity enthusiast. He's already signed up to have his brain frozen or something, I believe. Ooh. And he loves Time Pays Me. He
obviously
did a lock for 55 years, and I think it was the first full-length hard lock.
Nice.
And I think he's one of our younger Hexkins as well. I mean, he's
like 19 or 20.
Yeah, so 55 years, he's very likely to
might make it.
See that, or he might not even have to freeze his brain by then if longevity tech improves. So
that's right.
And yes, chat, thank you for the heads up. I did want to bring this. I was trying to let Maddie finish there talking some Time Pays Me, but we do have a little breaking news from Richard. So, Hex News, please test out the new beta.go.hex.com and report back any problems here before it goes live. So,
some beta
everyone who has been complaining about go.hex.com, yes, they're working on it. I don't think there was any doubt of that, but there's actually something for everyone to test now. Praise the Lord. So, thoughts on this? Because I think, for simplicity's sake, I think this was very much needed. I also think that this is great that even though PulseChain has been such a major focus, that Richard or devs can pivot, rather quickly to take care of, I guess, more pressing issues. I think this is more of a pressing issue just because of the. You don't want to make the process harder, especially potentially with the highest of stakes coming out in the next, I don't know, I've joked about this for months, but a month or two. I'm still going to guess it's going to be this summer. We'll see. But yeah, I think this has been much needed. Not saying that it's done, it's still beta, but I think this is definitely high on the priority list. So thoughts around the room on this, because I think this is great news, especially for all the old school Hexkins who like to shill and support Hex.
Yes.
He's basically. Go ahead.
I was going to say,
Sorry.
I've got a front end go.tshare.app that's been running for a long time, and we had to update it recently. There's a different way that PulseChain deals with data, like under the hood, than Ethereum, or like it's not really that simple. There's like graphs and full nodes and all these different technologies that are running like alongside both the chains. And I've heard people say that I've heard devs say that the way that Richard is doing it is surprisingly much better. And so you can imagine all the technical issues that you run into when you're creating a front end, when you're creating a dApp that's interacting with blockchain code, that like in order to get all of its data, all of the pieces of the puzzle of what happened on the blockchain. Because like one way to figure out what's going on the blockchain is like, ask a full node what's going on, but full nodes don't even keep a full record of something called event logs. And so when there's all these event logs flying around and nobody's recording them, then it's hard to go back and piece together exactly what happened. And because Hex is something that's such like a long-term thing, we're looking at so many events that happened in the past and linking that with all the time locking that's happening in the future. I know it was hard. I was a little surprised at how poorly go.hex.com was running there for the past couple of weeks. Especially, it's like it almost got a little bit worse. And so this is super, super exciting to me that Richard's team has got their beta version out of the new front end.
Yeah, it's mostly the only site I usually used, even back when it was go.tax.win. So It was like the only one I used from the beginning, and where I do my stakes and stakes and everything. So it was a bummer to not be able to use it on the PulseChain.
Yes, Beard.
It's interesting because go.hex.com didn't work properly. I started using the Icosa front end, and now that's so much in my system that I'll probably use that. But I was always annoyed that the Icosa front end doesn't have a calendar where you can just pick a date. You have to calculate it.
I was waiting for you to say that.
That's so annoying, dude.
Yeah.
So I guess for starting stakes, I'll use go.hex.com once it actually works again. But ending is still nice on Icosa because you can't forget to mint your Hedron. Well, you have to be very unaware of what you're doing, I guess. But yeah, that's nice.
And it also gives you just the full hex stake. Like what I like about go.hex is it gives you the principal and the interest earned on a given day,
and
which at the Icosa you cannot really see. So, but going back to that whole,
that was like also really annoying.
I was never complaining that it wasn't there, but I was mentioning it and on the show a few times that looking at this E-hex P-hex debate and how fiercely that's been fought over, in my opinion, a bit premature, only being 40 days into the new chain. And then looking that we don't even have a official working front end yet. So I always found that a bit peculiar. The thing I'm still complaining about is that we don't have a nice block explorer still to my liking, because you might have been airdropped a certain shitcoin and there is no real way to really check your wallet balances when it comes to these tokens. You can check transactions on Otter, but it doesn't pick up all the tokens. So that is one thing that I'm still waiting on.
On the scan.pulsechain.com, if you go to the tab tokens on your wallets, you should be able to see them.
Not all of them. is very selective, which is weird because it should really show.
Maybe you just don't have the coins, Cryptomatic.
All the tokens, them. Yeah.
Well, mine all appear, but maybe I'm not
wrecked.
as into shitcoinery as others.
I'm a shitcoin connoisseur.
You don't.
I know what
you do
should
know
be there.
that approving, Cryptomatic. You do know that if you approve a transaction, it's not the same as doing the transaction, right?
The signature.
Now you
That's what I saw a bit. Yeah, exactly. I saw that like a month ago or something. That BitBoy thought he had a transaction done, but it was just an approval of a spending limit.
Yeah,
something like that.
Derp. Yeah, I still like, I guess, the ICOSA DApp just because using that will prevent people from forgetting to mint their Hedron. So that's a good thing there.
I wouldn't say that because I actually, last time I did it there and I forgot my Hedron anyway. So.
But it literally says mint Hedron.
Yeah, but I was in a rush. Yeah.
So that's why I said that, because like on go.hex, I would certainly assume that does not mention that. So, and your community and all that other, all the other derivatives that could potentially have some sort of value one day, if you at least throw them in your wallet, why not? But yeah, I do.
So much work.
It's so hard, Beard. It's so hard.
PulseChain kitties.
Mudhog, I ended a stake and looked in MetaMask and like, where's this extra hex from? LOL. It was the yield. So yeah,
there you go.
All about that yield.
The yield sneaks up on you.
Yeah. So I guess, Mr. DJ, I'll blame you for this one since you brought it up. But yes. I don't think I've heard Mr. Mati Allin's opinion on the P-hex, E-hex thing. Matty, could
let's get into it.
Let's get your, I guess, currentest view of E-hex versus P-hex. To me, I mean, I guess, I'll just state it briefly, like my opinion's known. I've always thought there'd be like a discount or a premium, I guess, for hex on PulseChain. To the degree as to which it settles out over time, TBD. But and I guess the next thing to speculate on is like, what is the ratio? What's the right ratio? Is it 2-to-1? Is it 4-to-1, 5-to-1? Or is it like 10-to-1? I've seen, that's the most I've seen. Or it could be something as crazy as like Bitcoin versus Bitcoin Cash, like even, less. I guess, where to start with this question? Do you still find value on both chains? And then, perhaps how much one versus the other?
I mean, the market is what tells me how much something's worth. And, it's like, So, I mean, what we're seeing here, this time's different. What do I mean by this time is different? Well, every time Bitcoin forked, it seemed like people got so butthurt that they actually created different communities. And right now, in Hex at least, I don't see us losing more people than we would than normal churn. Like, I see the same people hosting the same channels, yourself, Discourse Syndicate, Dollar Cost Crypto. I mean, there's people that have been doing weekly shows for years, right? And those people, they're still doing their shows. In terms of picking a winner, I think the best game theory is where many people win, not just a small group. You want a bigger pie, that sort of thing. I think that, again, the debate can be healthy and uncomfortable in the sense that, let people argue about E-hex versus P-hex. I heard a pretty cool conspiracy theory the other day about the God Whale and like BankX. I don't know if we should get into all that.
20 minutes at least left. Go for it. Haven't had a good BankX theory in a while.
Well, what's the craziest thing you guys have heard? Let's start there.
I've heard anything, not like I believe it, but like fat fingering to the God whale. Just this is his subtle message of, slowly distancing himself from E-hex by putting a chunk in a very large chunk in another party's hands. Others around the room, any other? There's a few of them out there.
I noticed that people that don't like E-hex now are in the camp that he did it to make a point. Again, people read what they want to read. And I think most people, instead of having a healthy debate, they have a biased debate based on what they already did or predict will happen without any real room for healthy debate, because we can debate these things and we should debate them, but with a broad mind to actually heard what others are saying and the points they're making. And that's what I haven't been seeing. I've been seeing just people stamping their foot and saying, no, it's like this because of this, and I think this, and that's it.
It's just
and
a lot of theories, yeah.
Yeah, and whatever else says, they just say, no, I'm not listening, and like behaving like babies and not actually having a healthy debate. They speak, but they are not having a conversation, basically.
Yeah, the arguing and insults is what just turns me off from it. Like you can have a point of view.
Into that as much.
Yeah, I heard the first ones and I decided, okay, I have more stuff to do with my life. I have things to take care of. I already have a kid if I want to hear her debate something like that. So I don't need it with grown-ups. And that's basically it.
Yeah,
my take on the bank hack is a little bit special, maybe because I've actually been in contact with them a year ago when PulseCon happened, and so they contacted me back then in Las Vegas during the conference, because they had a side event, also like a mention party, and they contacted me back then and wanted me to show some of their stuff, which I politely declined because I'm not doing that. But and this is not an endorsement, but the conversation was still very productive back then and like professional. So I like to believe, I don't know, but I like to believe that they are very well aware of what Richard Hart is trying to do with PulseChain. They know about hex. I guess they probably missed out on the success of hex being early, and then for sure participated in the PulseChain sacrifice. So I think this sacrifice from the Godwell could have gone to way worse people in the space. So I'm actually not too, again, this is not an endorsement. They can still rock, they can still dump it on the thing. Their token might never come out. This is all possible, but like I'm not really worried about that. And if and how they reacted on a Twitter space, I don't know if that is enough to pass on like a super detriment, like judgment on that whole scenario. So I'm not worried about that, but that's just me.
It is just you, DJ.
Yeah, everybody else seems to be.
If I look at my own behavior, I had a steak come out for my birthday, a yearly steak, and I freaked out and sold the E-hex, kept the P-hex, and then I frantically bought the E-hex back 10% higher. So you're welcome.
Wow.
Now I'm holding.
Thank you for your service.
Yeah, you're welcome. So that's where I stand on those two things, apparently. I met the BankX founder. Him and his entire team explained their project for like over an hour to me in total. And I told them that they were scammers and that they were dumb. And that's a fact, because you can't put silver on the blockchain. No matter how hard you try, silver is physical and blockchain is digital. So what happened with the God whale? Well, let's look at the timeline. So, I'm sorry, by the way, somebody messaged me on Twitter and said that during the BankX party, which I attended, the founder Lance told them to like go buy booze and ice. So they went to the store to go get those things, and Lance's credit card got declined. Okay. So the Hexicans paid for it themselves.
Not the best sign.
The alcohol that they served at the pancakes party was paid for.
And will now pay in perpetuity.
Wow.
But,
that's right.
continue.
And so that's that. And then like, what's the timeline of what happened is like, Richard tweeted that he noticed the price of E-hex and P-hex was like suggesting that, you know, that the market was choosing, you know, people read into the tweet maybe more than what it was, but
yes, definitely.
Within like hours or minutes of like that happening, and then that was on the same day as supposedly BankX got hacked on some other chain, and the same day that supposedly the Godwell sacrifice. So what some people have speculated is that there was some sort of over-the-counter deal that happened, and that the hack was actually like a transfer to the Godwell or something. Now, I don't know if that theory like stands up. I don't really know what it was that got hacked, so I haven't looked into it that deep. But at the end of the day, I think that I mean, you could say that the Godwell did it just to even like make E-hex cheaper so that it'll pump harder or something. Like both chains have an amazing future, and I already see lots of people in the community who are like E-hex maxis and like P-hex maxis, people who like both, but I don't hear from a lot of people that don't like either of them. So that's cool.
But didn't the Godwell sacrifice to most projects building on PulseChain? Like he did this to almost all of them.
I think it was like
too many.
Yeah.
Too many.
Like Liquid Bones, Mitra, I believe.
Texan.
Yeah.
I can tell you that,
but not 800 million.
Yeah, maybe not 700 million. Yeah, that's true. And I know that somebody said in chat they dumped already. I'm aware of that, but I also staked a bunch. So
well, remember, not 700 million, because at the time the 700 million X were worth a lot more. So, but dollar-wise, yes, it was the same amount, or even less than what he sacrificed for other projects. So that's something to keep in mind. So maybe he was looking at the dollar value-wise and not number of X.
Another point to keep in mind in all this, because like I think it's easy to get FUD if you're not looking at the big picture. Like Bitcoin's going to go up, Ethereum is going to go up, and Hart's Law is going to pull our entire ecosystem up with it. And which one's going to pump harder? Probably the things with lower liquidity that are still terrifically bonded to these major movers. And so the more that like BlackRock is going to pump our bags, it doesn't matter that they're not talking about Pulse, because if you imagine that the founder of Hex like was buying Bitcoin at $30, that means that there's a lot of Hart's Law to be able to pull everything up together. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Pulse, anything that has liquidity with Pulse is going to pump hard AF in the bull run. And so it matters very little if BankX is cashing out, 10 million, 100 million, it doesn't matter. Or if they get fudded out and they cash out very little, if maybe they don't use Time Pays Me and they get hacked, wouldn't that be something? So, there's all kinds of things that could happen, but
hacked
at the
again.
end of the day,
those are less tokens.
Exactly.
Those are less tokens than what X13 was hacked.
Oh, true.
For it's less X than 2 AA lobby days. It's
Great
less
points.
X than was dumped on the market for by some sharks on the previous drop. So nothing new, just the newest thing for people to talk about and rant about.
Great point.
It will continue, and we will continue to move on. And the code is going to do what it has been doing so far. So
Agreed.
And that's the thing too, is like crypto is always moving, so there's going to be a new event maybe later this year or next year in just communities themselves. So perhaps another Godwill transaction or something like that, and that'll get everybody else talking perhaps in a different direction. Maybe Godwill does something pro E-hex. So it's a moving kind of thing. And another interesting thing too is like the comparisons to like Bitcoin. Like it doesn't really offer the yield that a hex does. So comparing like a Bitcoin to Bitcoin Cash and P-hex to E-hex, like you're getting that yield on both chains, and it's rather significant. So I don't just throwing that completely away, and having like a 10-to-1 ratio could happen. Not saying it can't, but I think like there is some support from the yield side, maybe, that could be had, supporting E-hex. Again, not, saying that's the case. As Mati said, the market will decide, and we can watch it in real time as it decides.
I don't want to get left behind.
Well, I can tell you that what I did with my first stake that ended after the fork was I staked it on Ethereum side for 1 more year, or actually 2 more years. I'm not sure now. And I staked it also on the PulseChain. So, and I even joined whatever I was able to get for free by farming and just selling free things into them. So
nice.
Yeah, and I think that's a good strategy to use while those opportunities make financial sense.
Yeah, so I actually increased like 50 T-shares. So
well done.
But what about you, Mati and Cabana? Will you continue to stake on Ethereum? Put new stakes out? Only on PulseChain?
I can say that I recently, I guess within the past week, staked on Ethereum and PulseChain. So
both, yeah.
Yeah. Now, that's not to say that perhaps I transferred some economic energy from Ethereum to PulseChain. I've said this multiple times so far. It's like whatever helps you sleep at night, do that. So, if you are totally terrified that E-hex is going to zero, I guess it's in your best interest and your own mental sanity to sell it all and go all in PulseChain. If you think both are going to live, great. If it's 2-to-1, maybe ratio yourself out. If you are fully supportive of both chains, keep them even and just, keep that energy the same. I don't think it's necessarily smart to just set it and forget it. I think it is, very, I guess it makes the most sense to keep in touch with the community and, Richard's tweets and, significant people like, streams and stuff like that to keep your pulse, no, pun intended, but keep your pulse of the community. And, that way you're not out of touch with what could happen. Maybe a sentiment shift occurs to where E-hex, becomes more valuable in the eyes of many holders for whatever reason. Maybe Ethereum fees come way down for whatever reason in a year or so. You're going to wish you had maybe more E-hex and didn't give it away at a discount. So there's a lot of things to consider. And I think that's why a lot of these streams are very popular, because, people like to keep in touch with their investments, and especially something that, is staked out for years and years and years.
No, I totally agree. I think it's clear that that's Richard's new baby is PulseChain, and of course that will be where the most focus also from him will take place. And I tried to discuss this with Furu Finance last week on his show, that of course small new hexagons that start with small positions now, if they have the technical ability to go onto PulseChain to bridge in or go via any of these swap portals or exchange, please start new stakes on PulseChain because of the fees. It makes total sense. But that doesn't need to mean necessarily, in my opinion, that for us older hexagons or whales or new maybe institutions coming into the game later down the line who are more in tune with Ethereum as still being the second largest blockchain after Bitcoin, It doesn't need to mean that the Ethereum side has to absolutely die, go to zero. May very well be a premium on PulseChain, like you said, but I don't see it going away like that.
Yeah,
and I doubt that Richard would want that, actually.
And it only affects, again, people that do smaller stakes. People that do higher stakes, they are willing, and I'm one of them, I'm willing to pay
the
more.
Fees, yeah.
The difference in a big stake, the difference between 2 cents or $20 might as well be zero, right? So if people are degening and swapping every day on Uniswap and pay upwards of $50, $60, $100 for a swap, do you really think they will bother with a $10 start stake and $100 or $200 end stake?
Yeah.
No, they're really the people that have money and that are trading away on Uniswap and all the degeneracy that exists on Ethereum can afford the end stakes. So it's I don't understand what this new FUD is about, because okay, it's cheaper on PulseChain. Yes, it won't eat into your yield as much or even your principal if you have smaller stakes. Yes, if you have a small amount, it's a no-brainer to go to PulseChain and do it. But it's not like people with $100 or $1,000 that will move the needle of the price and will pull P-hex to the moon and drop P-hex to zero, right?
True.
Those are not the people that make a difference in the price of things. So I don't get all this commotion. What is it about? And suddenly the Ethereum side it's different somehow.
I think part of the emotion is that during the next bull run, they think that the fees were even crazy. I mean, I had it happen to me. I had a stake, a Genesis share stake that ended during Hex's all-time high, or like a month later, and it cost me $900 in fees to get that stake out, and that sucks. But the stake itself was worth 35,000, so of course I will pay that to get the hex out. But
then multiply that by 15 years.
That's it. But if you and also if the stake would have been only worth $1,200 and then you have to pay $900, that is stupid, right? So that's why PulseChain makes sense. But if it's like really big ones, you will pay it.
Like. Yeah, but remember, at the time when we did the initial stakes, we were not aware of this problem that the Ethereum created, right?
That as well. It cost a couple of cents.
Stakes for
but for the past 2 years, when we got the PulseChain announcement, people that were staking on E-hex already knew this. So there's no excuse for newer people that were coming in somehow not knowing about it, because everyone was telling them, don't stake smaller stakes because it's not profitable. Wait until you accumulate more, or wait until PulseChain. We have been saying that all the time because we were aware of that problem, and we don't know that is not happening. That will not happen also on Pulse, or even that Ethereum will decide to push down the S-load function cost again, because they upped it 12 times. They can put it lower it 12 times also. So we simply do not know, and one can speculate that yes, PulseChain will always be cheaper than Ethereum, but one is not set in stone, and two, even at today's Gwei values, you can end a 2-year stake, a 3-year stake, and you don't pay $100. You pay a lot less. So
I paid $100
for the Gwei right now.
Yeah.
But what is the Gwei right now?
Well,
yesterday.
There was a cancer coin.
Yesterday, maybe.
It was a week ago, but the Gwei was like 20 or something. But anyway, like DJ Cryptomatic, to go back to your question, you caught me. I'm I'm not so sure about time locking my hex on Ethereum 15 years into the future, because I don't know what the ETH fees are going to be. But I've got a pretty cool solution here. So I accumulated DESI tokens because that's the longest perpetual tokenized hex stake that exists. That basically makes me sleep easier knowing that the fee to end stake is going to get paid. With Time Pays Me on Ethereum, what I can do is I can take my eDESI and I can launch it out as far as I want. I can launch it out 30 years into the future and have it drip back to me every single year to have a continuous staking ladder that's earning that 10-year yield. And then when the 10 years ends, because it's a perpetual, it renews. And so, if it was a, let's say I wanted to put like $1 million into E-hex 15-year staking, maybe I would be pushing the price against myself too hard for DESI. Well, I could go to the pool party contract and I could buy hex on the market at a good rate. And then I could, then I could take it to pool party, create a 15-year stake and time lock with Time Pays Me, having it drip back to me or having it as a hard lock and avoiding those insane gas fees. So there's lots of cool options, I think. And then another thing you can do is you can calculate what the end stake fee is going to be in the future using community tools. And then you can hard lock that amount of ETH in Time Pays Me so that you'll have the funds available when you need them. And if you wanted to get super advanced, you could do all the things I'm saying if there's sufficient liquidity on the PulseChain side. So I could go buy my eDESI, or I could buy my Ethereum, my ETH, my wrapped ETH from Ethereum. I could buy it on the PulseChain side for 5-cent transaction fee. And then I could time lock using Time Pays Me, do a hard lock with that wrapped ETH from Ethereum to send that out 15 years into the future to pay my end stake fee that I'll bridge over when I go back to Ethereum and end the stake there. So,
yeah.
Lots of theories.
What do you guys think about that?
Lots of strategies. Yeah.
I have not heard that one, but it does make sense. So yeah.
Yeah, but the problem here, we all understood at some point that there are unknowns that we cannot control.
True.
Either on Ethereum or on PulseChain. On PulseChain, we all assume that for the first year, transactions will be less than 1 Pulse token. And hold and behold, what happened? People decided to spam the blockchain to define a pretty high beat value for their transaction. And everyone on the chain had to pay the same transactions, right? Oh, we know that it's still cheap, but we need to understand that that's subject to change. So
yes,
we have to take that into account with everything we do and all the decisions we made, and know that it can go up, but it can also go down. And the same applies to Ethereum. It can increase a ton in the next bull market, but maybe after the bull market, if you have a 7-year stake and it ends not on the bull market, but on the bear market, maybe your end stake is still low.
But if you're time locking eDESI on PulseChain,
yeah, I get it.
Using Time Pays Me, your gas fees, even if
are the same as PulseChain,
the more expensive fee, you're not having to calculate for every single day with the Time Pays Me. So it's much more affordable. It's like going to be 100 or 1,000 times cheaper than doing a native hex stake on Ethereum.
Yeah, because you basically just have the token unlock, and you just need to bridge back to Ethereum if you want to redeem. And then assuming that the community pulls the necessary funds to end the stake, as I think it's what's been done by the community, by the creators, it will be cheaper for everyone for sure.
Yay! Cheap fees, finally!
Yay! Well, that's a positive note to end on as we land the plane here. I did have one question around the room. Yes or no? can we get the room's opinion on if Sami is AI? No, he is not AI.
No, don't think so.
Definitely AI.
No, but he has to tweak his microphone a little bit. It's a bit too bass heavy, in my opinion.
Yeah, of course, DJ
some positive critiquing there, but I love his content. No, I don't think he's AI.
So yes, hashtag free Sami. If that's
I
still
think
a thing
he's talking.
I hope he gets his
fluffy
Twitter back.
slippers.
Proof of beard. Proof of beard will only believe he's not AI if he shows his fluffy
slippers. Yes.
All right,
I
gents.
mean,
Let's go
I am
around.
interested in what kind of fluffy slippers he has.
Yes, I want to see the fluffy slippers. Let's
He
go
could
around the
make a
room
picture of that
really
and make
quick.
it an NFT.
Beard, where can we find you?
Yeah.
Thank you, Beard.
Around.
All right, thanks. Patty, tell us where we can find you and all of your things coming up, because we can already find one of them, which is Live Type Pays Me, but once again, show that PLS conference as well.
That's right. PLSAustin.com to get your tickets for the second annual PLS Conference.live, which will be a 48-hour live stream. And probably the biggest event in the history of Hex and PulseChain. Super excited about that. You can find me at allmylinks.com/allin and MATI allin on Twitter and YouTube and everywhere else.
Boom, Mr. DJ. It is Thursday. Are you going live today?
Yes, I'm tomorrow. I'm always, Cabana. I'm always doing the pre-show for the Cabana Crypto.
Well, when I'm on the road, I throw you off, so I apologize.
On Fridays.
That's how it's going to be this month. So just preparing you. But I think maybe a week from tomorrow, I think I'm going to do our regular time.
Be back on the Friday. Yeah, okay. Yeah. At DJ Cryptomatic on Twitter and on Telegram. But please follow me on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/DJ_Cryptomatic for my Hex and PulseChain themed DJ mix shows that's happening 3 times a week on Sunday, Tuesday, and Fridays. And thank you for having us, Cabana, the What the Hex
Thank you.
Happy Hour Brunch.
Absolutely. Always a pleasure. I like doing these brunches. Just makes more sense logistically when I'm out and about. So I appreciate you guys coming in and having such good discussions. And we always cover a variety of topics, and I always enjoy different takes from around the community. So I think it's essential for a community to have, input from as many shows, personalities, contributors as possible. Elmire, I see you on What the Hex, but is there anywhere else we can find you?
Well, I usually, when I can, I go to Wake Up Hex or What the Hex. People can find me on @Elmire on Telegram, same as my name, and @Elmire_PT on Twitter. I mostly use it to spy on other people, but if you want to follow it, go ahead.
There you go. So I'll leave with a final couple price updates from Meltoni with E-hex, Hex, PulseX. Didn't get too much into PulseX today, but we'll get into it.
It's our price oracle, Mr. Meltoni.
Yes, he is the oracle of Hex.
Actually, the last price that I saw for X was all from Meltoni. I don't turn up the coin ranking sites or whatever.
That's smart.
I'm watching the streams. I see Meltoni. Okay, I know the price.
That's
good.
If there's a stream on,
exactly.
That's your price feed. So there you go.
Exactly.
I do all my TA from Meltoni's calls.
All right, gents. Well, thank you guys. Once again, Proof of Beard, Mati, DJ Cryptomatic, Elmire. Fun morning discussion here. Depending upon your time zone, I guess all time zones. We did start in the morning, so appreciate you guys, and looking forward to who knows what's going to happen in the coming days and weeks in crypto, leading up to the PLS conference in Austin. But there won't be a shortage of things to talk about. That I am certain. So
yes.
With that being said, we will see you next week. Aiming for again Friday at 5. Cabana, yes. Beer?
Thanks, guys.
Do you have an outro?
No outro, but you can say it, and I'll do it.
Well, but where's your outro?